Hi, finance family. Welcome to another edition of Flip It with Samara, the power of tax planning. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm so glad that you all are joining in. Please leave some comments and let me know that you are here. Say hello, drop a little wave emoji. Whatever you do, let me know that you are tuning in tonight, right? So, again, welcome to Flip It, where we talk about tax planning, okay? But every month we've been changing it up and we've been talking about different subjects that somehow relate to the entrepreneurial journey. I know some of us are new to this entrepreneurial journey and some of us, this is old hat. But we still have things that we need to improve on, right? So I wanted to create a safe space where I can welcome other subject matter experts and talk about those things, right? Especially in the areas that I feel like I'm not an expert in because I need a little help every once in a while too. So again, welcome to Flip It, where we focus on tax planning. But today we're going to be talking about time management. Here on Flip It, we stand by our motto that the rich don't start tax planning once they become wealthy, but rather use tax planning as a tool, right? And so we talk about other tools that we can use also that will help us on our entrepreneurial journey to earn some more money to grow our wealth. So we have a special guest tonight by the name of Charles Venus. And I'm going to try to be mindful, y'all. Just so I know Charles by another name, but I'm trying not to mention it in the live tonight. But Charles Venus has agreed to come on the live tonight and donate his time. And because we want to honor his time, we want to make sure that we give him the platform to teach us about time management as it relates to being in the corporate setting or in your entrepreneurial role. And I'm going to share my story too, but without further ado, I want to bring Charles to the stage. So, Charles, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So, please briefly introduce yourself to the Five Finance family.
Well, I'm Charles Venus. Professionally, and this is Atlanta, so in Atlanta you got to have multiple hustles. So, professionally and corporately, I am a project management specialist as well as a consultant, and I currently work in the information data services field. But like I said, it's Atlanta, so I also am a podcaster. I am a partner of a music production team, a publishing company as well for Family Ties Music Group. And it's Atlanta, so I'm always branching out. I've just recently started to tap into Notary Public. This something new for me though. So all over the place though, man. But hey, you got to get to it.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a joke. It's probably inappropriate, but I mean, are you part Jamaican? Because you got
Listen,
a
man. You gotta get it. Listen, the funny thing is, right? So it's funny you say that because I'm probably the last of all of my friends, right, who have just jumped on out there, and
Hmm,
they're complete entrepreneurs. They don't
right.
work for anybody. I'm the last one that's holding on to corporate America, apparently, though. But because of that, I am trying to get into that
Right.
side hustle, turn your side hustle into your main, and yeah.
Yeah, I
Last
mean, I love it. And interesting enough, like, okay, y'all, so give some background on how I met Mr. Charles Venus. I'm actually really good friends with his wife, Nikki Venus, who is
right?
also in these entrepreneur streets. And she
Yeah,
actually,
heavy.
yeah, heavy, right. She
Yeah.
actually encouraged me to like take that leap of faith and start my own business full time because Nikki's been doing it for what? I don't know, like 10 plus years.
Well, so some of the SC it show seems like I think that she is working on 3 years now with Nikki Venus and Company
Oh,
as a
just for,
fashion style business coach. And
right,
then prior to that, she had her online boutique,
right.
Pink Indigo, which God, she's had so much growth now within her consulting business that her online boutique seemed like it's so long ago.
Wow.
But she is killing it though. Yeah,
That's good. So
yeah,
yeah,
she's
so
killing it.
So that's how me and Charles met through Nikki. And me and Nikki actually worked in corporate America together. And then, we talked, and she was always, about her hustle. So,
Hmm.
so being
Facts.
married to someone like that, I can imagine that it kind of wakes something up in you, right? And
It
makes you want to have
does.
that same hustle. So kudos to
Listen,
you, sir, for wearing
she
all
is
of those hats.
driven. It's funny because it's almost like it's funny because when it comes to when it comes to the side businesses,
Mhm,
it's not that we're competitive with each other, but I
mhm.
know that she is completely driven, and I've watched her grow hers from the ground up. And so just to kind of know and watch that, yeah, definitely kind of gives me something that I'm just like, all right, I've seen what it takes, for you to go
Right.
from 0 to 100. And so yeah, she's on top of her stuff though.
And that is great because that actually sets us up for what we're talking about tonight, right? Time management. Because
Yeah,
being an entrepreneur, now you have to wear so many hats. People don't understand. Like, you have to be everything, right? Sometimes
facts.
you're going to have to put on an accountant hat. Guess what? Because you got to make sure your books are on par, up to where they need to be. And then
Right.
sometimes you have to put on a marketing manager hat. Who knew? All right. You're going to have to make social media posts and stuff like that, grow your
Hmm.
audience, get those leads. So it's so many hats that you have to wear as an entrepreneur. Sometimes it can be overwhelming, right? And I
Mm.
think one thing that we struggle with is time management because we're like, we don't have enough time because we're
Right,
only one
right, right,
person, right?
right,
And so some entrepreneurs take the approach of, hey, I'm just going to outsource some things. I know my strength and I know my time needs to be dedicated here. So I'm going to outsource some things. That's me.
right.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm that entrepreneur. But then some of us are like, you know what? No, I'm going to dig deep and I'm going to learn what I need to learn to get me to where I can be so I can afford someday to outsource things, right? I mean,
Right,
because
right.
sometimes we just don't have the funds. Let's be honest. So I want to
Facts.
talk to you about like watching your wife, especially,
Right.
and then you have an experience in corporate America. We all know that time is not a renewable energy source. I tell people that all the time.
Right.
you
Right.
can't you can't make more of it. We all get
Right.
24 hours within the day, so it's how we use it that matters. So with all of that being said, when you started this entrepreneurial journey, like how did you manage your time in working in corporate America, trying to build your business and
Right.
try to be a family man? That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So, the funny thing about it though, right, is that my time management, as it relates to my corporate and my side businesses, are completely night and day. And when I
Mm,
say night and day, my so I'm in project management, and project management is always based around knowing who's on first, who's on second. You always got to be worried about timelines. You also got to worry about how long it takes for everyone to do their tasks. You always got to be you're onboarding a customer as well. So there's typically a revenue assigned to your project, right? And when can the company start to actualize that revenue? Right. And so because that's the case, though, as someone who's a project management professional, you're always looking for the structure, right? Everything
mhm,
has to, as much as possible, go 1 to 2 to 4 to 5. And so it's immediately you're trying to put together parameters.
mhm.
I think that one of the things that's kind of interesting though for me is that, and I don't want to toot my own horn, right?
Go ahead and
But
toot it.
but I think, right, I think one of the things that I think that one of the things that I find that I'm particularly good at, and I say that because I've been complimented on this one, is that I also find a way to still thrive without the structure, right? So I
Mm,
still feel like my biggest corporate flex, right, is that I can still thrive in the ambiguity, right? Like I don't have to have a set of instructions for me to create,
mm,
and still be able to do it. And oddly enough, that comes from my side. hustles, right? So for me, I've been doing music forever, right? And so because that's the case, though, my creative process within music, it's I'm like you mentioned, I'm wearing several hats, right?
Hmm.
So it's not like someone if you're an artist, if you're a songwriter, if you're a rapper, if you're a singer, someone produces this song for you and they give you this track to write to, right? And then you go through and you write that, and then you go and record that, and then someone has to mix that, and then someone has to master that, right? And then someone has to market that and do all these other things. And so I think that for me, my creative process, because
Hmm.
it's 95% me, it
Right.
also means that my creative process, the life cycle of that is long because I have to make the beats, right? So I'm creating my vibes from nowhere, right? And then I'm writing based off of that. And I still have to go through and record myself. And so I think that I've always been able to transfer that starting from
Hmm.
scratch to my corporate work to say I don't have to have all of the details in order for me to still thrive. As long as I can create the time, then
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah, and that is a gift. Let me tell you, that's something that a lot of people don't have, is to be able
Yeah.
to, yeah, not have like a set of directions and instructions to walk you through exactly how the process is supposed to go. Because honestly,
Mhm.
that was something I struggled with as an entrepreneur because I'm a very type A person, right? So that's why I chose the field of accounting, debits and credits, black and white. There's no gray area. It is what it is.
Mhm.
And so when you throw somebody who is used to operating on a platform
Mhm.
like that, where you have a set of instructions that tells you what to do, you have guidelines that you have to abide by, and now you're saying, create your own rules. You got to figure out the best way to do it. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't know where to
Yeah.
start. So it becomes overwhelming.
Then you could take it a step further as an entrepreneur. It's saying, well, if you don't figure this out, well, you don't get money. Like when you're working
That's
at
right.
corporate, you're still figuring this out on somebody else's dime. So
That's
you
right.
still have in corporate, you got that time to figure it out, right? But for an entrepreneur, time is money. So
That's right.
every hour, every minute that you're not spending on trying to figure that whole thing out, you're losing because it's just you at the end of the day.
Yep. And
Yeah.
I once heard someone say, and it was like a quote that I also saw on somebody's wall. It was like an entrepreneur is the person that jumps and is like building the parachute while they're jumping out of the plane, like on their way down. So they jump out the plane and they're trying to put together the parachute on their way down. Like that's what they do. They just jump.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, but that's not me. That's so against like everything that, I've been taught and I've been trained to do.
Right.
But like you said, if you don't work, you don't eat. That's just how the entrepreneur world works. So you got to
Absolutely.
hustle and you got to do it. And if it's sleepless nights, guess what? It's sleepless nights. So it brings me back, right, to finding that balance, right? So
Hmm.
we know that you wear many hats, and we know
Right.
that you had to learn to pivot in order to make sure that there was true balance. So, how do you trying to think of a best way to say this so it's not it doesn't sound too offensive, but how do you ask people to value your time? So for me, I'm gonna give you an example of what I'm talking about. So for me, if I have a client that calls me, right, and they say, hey, I got a quick question I want to run by you. All right, that's fine, but we're going to keep that call to 2 to 5 minutes because my time is valuable, and that was time that I was probably donating to another client. And I don't think it's
Mm.
fair, right, for my time not to be valued in a sense that, hey, if this is going to go longer than 2 to 5 minutes, then we need to book a meeting. Does that make sense?
Right. Right. That
So,
does.
how do you, encourage people? Ah, there's my word I was searching for. How do you encourage people to value your time?
So I look at it like this, right? So I think that by the way, it's one of my corporate pet peeves, right?
Hmm.
Is that when and maybe I don't maybe this changed for me because I work remote, right? But I think that one of the things that is different is that when we were in the office every day, right, it was nothing at all for you to kind of walk up to someone's desk, right? You had the cooler talk, and that's when you found out a lot of good information.
Hmm.
It was just kind of free time, but you still, it was unscheduled, right?
Right.
And so now I think that now that we're remote and everything's virtual, my peeve, right, is when someone like calls me on like Teams unannounced, right? So no, and then their reason was, well, yeah, I saw that your calendar said that you was free,
Right.
right? So that's why I was like, well, my calendar said I wasn't in a meeting, right? That didn't mean that I was free,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so my thing, I guess for me, that what I try to do is I look at it and say, okay, a couple of things. I try not to schedule 30-minute meetings because
Right.
unless it's like a quick check-in, you need something formal, right? But I
Hmm.
think that what I often like to do is to say, listen, if this is something that I can answer to you in an instant message, then let's go that way, right?
Right.
Because a couple things, right? It at least gives you a point of reference. Usually emails or excuse me, usually instant messages. You have a period where you can refer back to it for X number of days, right? So I said what I said is there, so you have that
Right.
to refer back to. That's
Right.
probably where I like to typically go. I'm all now. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for having meetings that are beneficial to both. If
Right.
if I feel like it's a one-sided thing, then I try to shy away from just having those 15 minutes. I'm saying let's exchange this an instant message, right? And I'll still give you what you need, but I'm just have to have a formal meeting on it unless we need to have formal meeting notes and you need a formal response from me. Then that's where I typically like to keep it. But
Right.
but I but I but don't jump on my line here just because you saw
Right.
that my calendar is free. That means that I'm not meeting with somebody right then and there, but that doesn't. I'm doing other stuff as well, not just meeting all day long.
Listen, for me, it's a level of disrespect, and I'm gonna be honest. Like the last job that I was at, I remember like I used to block my calendar off from like 8 to 10, and I did that because there was a lot of reporting I had to do first thing in the morning. We had to get the
Mhm.
reports out before production came in because they were using those reports in order to run the line, right? So I was like, listen, I need time. I gotta focus. And so I would do that. And one day, not my boss, but my boss's boss, knocked on my door and he was like, hey, I noticed you always block, like 2 hours off on your meeting. Do you have time to talk? No. And that's why my calendar is blocked 2 hours. Like I'm trying to. He's like, well, what are you working on? I said I have to get the morning reports out. Like, and production needs it in order to run the line for the day. So that
Right.
takes priority. So we can definitely meet afterwards, but I have to get this out. And it was just like the level of and my door was closed. My door was closed. My calendar was blocked. And you still came and knocked on my door. It was like, I need to talk to you. Just the
You know,
level of
one of the, but,
disrespect.
but one of the things that I've thought that helps me when it comes to meetings, right, is the meeting management. What I typically try to do is that um, when it comes to my meetings, if I know that if it's one of my larger, more demanding customers, right, that I'm meeting on a project
Right.
with. And I know that I'm going to take this full hour. I typically say, okay, well, let me at least block off my calendar for at least 15 to 30 minutes to make sure that I'm a meeting notes snob.
Hmm.
It's like I hate them, but I also want them to be as detailed as possible.
Right.
So I immediately block off time so that I could get my minutes together and get them sent on now, and I block them off there. But I think it's funny though that one of the things that I've seen people do is go way deeper than where you go. Where I've been meeting with someone, I'll have some messages going with somebody, or even email, and they'll say, yeah, just look at my calendar and put something on my calendar, and I'm looking and their calendars blocked off for like 2 weeks, and I'm like, listen, I don't got time for no, I'm not gonna. What? I need to get this answer tomorrow, and you talking about meet with you in 2 weeks, and not no. So
You
it's
know what I call
and I
that? That's Petty LaBelle. That used to be me.
oh
I'm not even gonna lie. I
Petty
was Petty LaBelle once in
Pendergrass,
a while.
oh two all beef patties. It's just like I look at that and I'm just like, and listen, and by all means, since I'm I'm in project management, so I'm all
Right,
about deadlines,
right,
times.
right,
So I'm respectful of the amount of time that it might take for somebody to research something, to look at to verify the information to get back to me. I
right.
totally get it. But at the same time, it's like, all right, if I reach out to you, it's because it's pressing one, but not to say that it's
Right,
any more important and than your time is, right?
right.
But I mean, it's like, so I try to be mindful of someone else's time, but that blocking the schedule for it's like really, really, you
Listen,
mean to tell me for 2 straight weeks you had back to back to back meetings from
listen.
8 to 5 o'clock all day long?
Now
Stop
I
with the
can't. I
madness.
was not that person, but I did need my
Oh my
2 hours
gosh.
to do my reporting. I had to because, like you
Oh
said,
my
if
gosh.
you didn't, and only because I had a strict deadline too. Because here's the thing, right? If someone came into my office and I didn't get the report out, that wasn't a legitimate excuse to the VP. Like,
Facts.
I need the report. so,
Right, right.
so
And
it.
and see, this is that I agree with you, but here's the thing. I think that where it's different. So like here recently, right? So I
Mhm,
started a new position,
mhm,
and this new position involves us doing a brand new product, right? And
mhm,
so this brand new product has been rolled out in such a way that we've never done it before as a company. So it's being presented differently, and not just that, we have no metrics of how it's supposed to go. So we're
mm,
basically just kind of making it up as we go,
right,
right? And on top of this, this is a division of our company who I'm just literally stepping first toe into. I don't know anything, so I'm still trying to figure out who's who does what.
right,
Versus in all of my previous roles, I think that one of the things that I've been able to do in terms of having that respect for time, right, is I think that for me, I've always been a person where if you reach out to me for some assistance, I'm trying to give you a timely response
right.
because it's you and we've established that relationship,
Correct.
not because I had to CC your manager on
Oh,
something
I
or
hate that.
no, no, no. I'm not gonna see. I'm gonna because you copying my manager, it's gonna create more time on my schedule to get back to you, right?
Hello. I
All right.
mean,
So, but
intentionally too.
yes, yes. And so then you make me per my last email, you right. So it's like, but I think that for me, I think that I've always been able to really um, get far on relationships, right? And
Right.
people who will do so, but the expectation is two-way street, right? It's
There
like
you go.
I'm gonna expect for you to give the professional, not just professional courtesy, but give me the elbow nudge that I'm gonna look out for you because you look out for me in that way.
Right.
But that's where for where I'm at now in my new role, I haven't gotten those contacts, right?
Mm,
I haven't figured out how to butter people up yet. I haven't figured out how to brush the elbows with them. And so I think that because that's the case, though, I'm doing that along the way. But it's also, I still have my deadlines, right? I still have my own individual goals.
right.
And even though I don't have that parameter, right, that I'm still able to get it done without having that structure that I typically would have, helped create though. But I think that the time management though comes into play because I think that it's respect my time, but also respect my turnaround, right? If
Right.
I'm giving you what you need, then just know that that's what you can expect from me, but also that's what I'm going to expect from you.
That listen. So I used to say something, and it was so bad. I didn't realize how much I was saying it until my coworkers started saying it too, and I was like, "Oh man, I must say that a lot." So I used to tell them, "Listen, when I ask you for something and you give me like a slow turnaround, keep that same energy when you ask me for
Mm,
something, all right? Because
keep
that's
the
what you
same
keep that same
energy.
energy."
Keep that same. I'm gonna need that same energy
I'm telling
though.
you, I used to tell them, listen, keep that same energy, honey. Because, like you said, it's a matter of respect. And I'm just like you, Charles. Like, I feel like I'm going to go. above and beyond to help you, right? So I can
Yes,
establish that connection, because let me tell you, relationships will take you places money cannot. And so
absolutely.
you never know who you are will be meeting, and at what stage in your life you're gonna need that person again, right? I've actually left jobs, did not know that the person that my next job I was going to be going to was the manager, the hiring manager, right? So if I had
Oh
did him
man.
dirty in a previous job where he was just my peer, was I going to get that next job? You get what I'm
Well,
saying?
let me ask you this though. Do you think that do you play the corporate America game? How well do you play it?
See, and that's the thing. I don't play it well because it's not about a game with me. Like, I don't kiss. I used to tell people all the time, listen, I'm not in the business of kissing your behind. That's not what I'm here to do. Is a job, and I'm here to do my job well, right? And so I stand on that. Now, if you want somebody to kiss your behind, you can go down the street to Sally. Like, she good. She got you all day long. That's not me. That's all. That's not me.
Yeah, see, it's funny though, right? Because like for me, I think that it's interesting because I think that for me, maybe I play it well and I didn't realize it, right?
Mm,
Yeah, I didn't realize. And this is the thing. I think that what's crazy to me about it is that I never when I say play it right, it's like at some point it's like little things, right, that you
mhm,
kind of like little things that to me I think that go a long way, right? Is I think that when I say play the corporate, like for me, right, my at the core of everything that I do work wise, right?
mhm,
It's a matter of likability, right? So I've
mhm.
always thought, right? I've always thought that just because somebody respects you, right? In corporate world, right? Respect will get you the minimum, right?
Right,
It's like I'm gonna do what's required because it's required, right? That's out of respect for
right,
the whole system, the foundation. But if I like you though, right, I'm gonna go a little bit further, right?
right,
And I've always thought that I had a manager before where people had some respect for her, and she was like, I don't care if they like me. I just want them to respect me. And I was like, well, that's the reason why they don't do anything more than what's
right,
required, right?
right.
But I think that to me, it's likability, and what's weird about it is that I think that beyond like my work and my output, it's gonna show, right? I think I do good work, but I
Right.
think that the fact that people like me and like working with me has probably been the main thing that, like, I'm sure you can find somebody who can give you, same quality work, but it's just like, all right, but you can put me anywhere and I'm gonna be okay, right?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
No,
but that also how this ties into time, right? Is
correct.
just because it's the relationships, right?
Right.
It's establishing those kind of um, conversations and likability that
Right.
to me adds to how fast you get things done and turnaround times are.
Right. Because in corporate America, your turnaround time to your higher ups is a direct reflection on how much they respect me, right? And how much they appreciate the relationship that we have. And so, with that being said, I mean, yeah, you got to play the game in that aspect. But
Yeah.
that's probably why I got out of corporate America, because it's just,
I haven't listen. I haven't yet. This is funny because like I don't know, man. It's weird. It's almost like to me, and I laugh with my wife because I think that was her thing. She was like, I'm over all of that, right?
oh,
I'm
she was
over
over it when
all of.
I met her. Like,
Oh my gosh, she was over it. But I think that she can at least admit you totally this it's for you. She was like, you do well at
right,
that, and
right,
it's no, it's I don't know, but I can tell you that I can easily say that the relationships are one thing, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I think that you can't just be a likable guy that don't do good work, right?
right.
I think that at the end, I do A1 work, but just the fact that people like working with me has gone a long way,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, I definitely have enjoyed talking about time management. And I'm sorry, Five Finance Family, because we went all the way to the left talking about corporate America and everything. But it is all very relatable, right? Especially to entrepreneurs, because you're gonna encounter clients that you have to handle different ways. You're gonna approach people,
Absolutely.
right, with different backgrounds, people like even like educational backgrounds versus someone who may have been from the corporate America setting, so they're used to moving and shaking in a different way. And that's
Right.
what I found, right? Like, I thank God for my corporate America training, but then I'm also learning so much in this entrepreneur street. And sometimes I have to be like, Samara, take off your corporate America hat, honey. Like, just make it
Mm,
plain. Just meet the
yeah.
people where they are. So, like, you hear me say that all the time in my lives, by Finance Family. You got to meet the people where they are. And
Yeah.
that is what has been most beneficial for me, right? So when I meet the client where they are, then not only do they value my time, but I'm valuing their time as well. Like, it's a
Mm,
mutual relationship, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. And so, with that being said, I feel like people will respect your time. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
When you give them respect, also. So, definitely has been a pleasure. And we appreciate you donating your time, sir. But we want to,
Oh, anytime.
yeah, we want to be respectful of it. So, we're going to call this to a close, for Finance Family. But before you leave, Charles, can you please tell the people how to get in contact with you? I know you have some websites.
Listen, I'm all over the place, man. But you can always start for okay. So work wise, the corporate wise, right? One of those hats. I'm on LinkedIn, Charles Venus, look your boy
LinkedIn.
up.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, right? You know, it's funny. I don't do too much of that's
You
LinkedIn
have
is
a
pretty much
website
it.
too, right?
But on my website though,
Okay.
right?
Your
For
website.
everything else, yeah, my website, charlievenus.com.
All right.
So I mentioned that I do music, so I do still rap. I be doing a little something, right?
Right.
I still do my production. I do my podcast, but you know, it's a lot simpler to just tell somebody to go to charlievenus.com. So if you want to follow me on the gram, you want to follow me on YouTube, Spotify links, all my music is out there.
And your
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot we got your podcast too.
So my podcast is the Slash Brothers podcast.
Okay.
I do that with my brother Ace Kennedy every Tuesday and Friday, and I'm looking to go ahead and put that back on Spotify and Apple. We pulled it for a second to kind of
Oh.
regroup. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's about to get back popping again though. But charlievenus.com will link you everywhere. If you want to link with me, you follow me, I follow you back. Simple
I
that.
hear that. Well, y'all definitely make sure you visit the website. He also does a live on Facebook that my husband faithfully checks out. So every
We get on there, we
Tuesday.
get wild sometimes
Yeah,
though.
yeah, y'all
Yeah,
do. And I sometimes when I tune in, I was like, Lord, this ain't for me. I let
yeah,
Ira listen to the
yeah.
conversation.
We get
No,
wild. We talk
but
about everything. If it's current, we talk about it.
yeah, and I love it.
Yeah,
Like, it's good conversation. It's just funny. Y'all wild out sometimes.
we get wild. We get wild. I ain't gonna lie, we get wild.
Yeah. But again, thank you so much, Charles, for donating your time this evening and educating us on the value of time. So I'm going to ask you to wait backstage while I say goodbye to the Five Finance family. Okay?
Cool.
All right. So thank you, Five Finance family, for tuning in tonight. Hopefully, you have learned a lot about time management and how we should encourage others to value our time. I really appreciate Charles coming on and talking to us, not only from a corporate America setting, but also from an entrepreneur setting as well, on the importance of valuing your own time and then encouraging others to do so. So, start allowing people, or start encouraging people, I should say, to value your time, entrepreneurs. All right. And you should be valuing your own time as well. All right. So if you like what you heard, make sure that you are liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can do that by visiting the YouTube channel. You can like this recent episode, and then you can hit that subscribe button so that you get notifications every time we go live. You can also listen to our podcast. We are streaming on Audible, Amazon Music, and Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So you can listen to our podcast while you are on your way to work or while you are at the office doing work. And if you want to connect with me on a one on one basis, you can visit our website at www.fivefinance.com and you can book a free consultation. So I do accounting consultations and tax consultations absolutely free. So you get 30 minutes of my time for free. Okay. So again, Five Finance family, thank you so much for tuning in. And guess what, y'all? Because I do value my time and I know that I have to be refreshed. Next week we will not be doing a live. So I get a vacation. So y'all get a vacation, right? Take this time to spend time with your family and to pour into yourselves, right? Because that's what I will definitely be doing while I'm away from you all. So until next time, you all have a wonderful and lovely Tuesday evening. See you soon.